Hey everybody, my name is Precious. To my channel, Let's Talk with Precious. So today I'm going to be talking about Vice President Kamala Harris and Republican Tim Scott's comments about how the United States is not a racist country. So the reason why I decided to do this video is because I feel like this is a very important topic to talk about, but I also think that it's a shame how we as black people always have black people in politics or black people in general that are supposed to be representing us and our voices on the forefront, always embarrassing us and always making us look bad and always making us look like the people that non black people expect us to be, which is dumb and ignorant and stupid. So, the reason why I hate that Vice President Kamala Harris said what she said is because how can you be a woman who is Jamaican and Indian, and to get further into it, someone who's black and you've been living in the United States your whole life, and you're saying that racism does, and you're saying that the United States is not racist. So let's go further back into history and say that on one end, I'm shocked that Kamala Harris said what she said, but on the other end, I'm not shocked because when Kamala Harris was the senator or the secretary of state of California, she was known for incarcerating the highest number of black and Hispanic men. And I remember a lot of people stated this before voting for her and before even wanting her to be the vice president because of this. So, if you are a woman of color and you incarcerated both black and brown people as much as you have, I'm not surprised that you would say that because you're viewing yourself as white and you're viewing yourself as someone who's not of color or someone who's of high prestige or someone who racism doesn't really seem to touch because you're biracial or because you're multi ethnic or come from two separate cultures, then I can understand you saying that the United States is not a racist country. But on the other end, I don't understand why you would say that the United States is not a racist country when you were in the same presidential candidate, and even when they had the debates, you strongly stood against Joe Biden. You were so hard on his behind that he couldn't even talk. He couldn't even finish any of his statements. He couldn't even finish anything that he wanted to say because you were so headstrong and so steadfast about how racism does exist, how racism needs to be handled, and how racism against black people is as bad as people say that it is. And you yourself claim to be one of the first black children within the United States that was bused to integrate schools. So, Kamala Harris, how can you be a woman of color and experience what it's like to be in a racist country as a child, to experience the integration of black children and black people in school so that we can stop being racist and become more inclusive and actually start recognizing people of color, especially black people. And you're saying that the United States is not a racist country. And now I'm going to get on Republican Tim Scott. And to be honest, I'm not surprised that Republican Tim Scott would say something like this, mainly because the Republican Party is known for being a party that is full of racist white people, especially racist, wealthy white men. So, of course, you being probably one of the only blacks, or maybe a few blacks in the Republican Party, you feel like, well, since I'm the only black, or well, since I'm one of a few, I have to skate on thin ice. I have to dance around different things so that I don't want to offend the other white people, or so that I won't offend my white colleagues and not get backlash or retaliation for speaking out about how their race can sometimes be racist against my race or my own people. So I can understand why that stance was made. But then again, it doesn't make sense how you are trying to protect people and trying to protect the people that enslaved your people, which is the reason why you're here as an American in the first place. And even when you get down to Kamala Harris, I'm going to break down the culture part too. Kamala Harris' nationality is American. Kamala Harris's ethnicity is Afro Jamaican and Indian. And when I say Indian, I'm saying Asian Indian. Now, Kamala Harris's background have both dealt with enslavement and discrimination because when you go to the Caribbean and when you look up the Caribbean history, Indians were enslaved. Indians were seen as servants because the main reason why in places like Trinidad and Guyana and Jamaica have so many Indians is because their ancestors were indentured servants that were brought over by the British and other Europeans to work in the Caribbean so that they could work off their debts and go back to their home country of India when they were done working. But a lot of them lost touch with Indian relatives and the culture over there, so they decided to stay, which is why you have people that are Indo Jamaican, Indo Trinidadian, Indo Guyanese, and so on and so forth. Now, when it comes to Jamaica, Jamaica is one of the most blackest islands other than Haiti in the Caribbean, and they experience some of the harshest treatment in slavery by the British, and which is really where the Willie Lynch letter originated. And they said William Lynch was either a real man, some say he was a fictional man that wrote out one of the most harshest punishments for slaves, African slaves at that, in the Caribbean. So Kamala Harris, you have like triple, you know, ethnic experience. You have triple, but I mean, her mom is Indian from India, but I mean, Indians, because Indian people, they do represent her. Indian people claim her. So, I mean, Indians, they've dealt with discrimination and enslavement and stuff too when you think about Europe and in the Caribbean. So, and then I just talked about the history of Jamaicans, and then by you being an American, who is visibly black, because I don't care what anybody else says. Kamala Harris looks like a light skinned black woman. I don't see no Indian. She could be Jamaican, because, like I said, Jamaican people, a lot of Jamaican people are black and they come in different colors and whatnot. But you'd be better off passing as a black Jamaican woman or an African American woman because that's how you look. But then again, you are a person that has triple experiences of being a woman of color coming from these backgrounds, and then you being an American looking visibly black, and you know what it's like to experience racism firsthand. So I'm not understanding this tiptoey response to racism against black people in America. And then I do remember watching CNN earlier, and there was a TV anchor who said the reason why Kamala Harris may have said that is because she has to, and this is me paraphrasing what she said in my own words. She didn't say this exactly, but she stated that Kamala Harris may have to be a bit more careful what she says because her husband is white. Her mother's family is Indian, and other people in the White House may be, white, and she doesn't want to offend them. The thing that pisses me off about the United States and even African Americans to an extent, and you could say I'm a self hating black woman, you could say I'm a self hating African American, all you want to, because I've been called that before. But I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to give my opinion, and this is my opinion. This is my YouTube channel. This is me. I don't like it how, as African Americans, we always want to, or in some spaces, we have to watch what we say around white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, and other non black people, just so that we can be friends with them, be in romantic relationships with them, be in acquaintance with them, or even work with them as colleagues in order for us to keep our spot. But at the same time, a lot of African Americans believe and move, and some non black people even make us believe and move that we have to be in denial about how their ethnic group and about how their race treats us. Because when it comes to white people, I'm not saying all white people are racist, but a lot of them are towards black people. And when it comes to Latinos or Hispanics or Latinx, however you want to, describe yourselves, they have a long history of being racist towards black people, whether in America or in Latin America. And it's baffling to me how Latinos can sometimes be so racist or ignorant towards black people, and they come from such a varied culture of different cultures. They have African history deep within their culture, all the way from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, even down to Panama and Venezuela and Colombia, and I mean in the Dominican Republic. I mean, it's just baffling to me how Latinos can be so visibly black or have so visible African features and whatnot are so in denial of it. And then when they even come to the United States, and it even happens in Latin America too, and I've been to two Latin islands and have experienced it to an extent. There's just so much in denial, so much discrimination, so much nastiness. And when you even come in contact with a black person that happens to speak Spanish or know about your culture, you speak to us as if it's amazing or if it's a surprise that a black person can know anything outside of the black culture or the black American culture when we have plenty of books, plenty of software, plenty of YouTube videos, and plenty of teachers that can teach us about anything in the world, including Latin American culture and Spanish. Now, when you move along to Asians, Asian people have had a long history of being racist to an extent, especially in California, towards black people. I do remember during the Rodney King incident, at that time, especially with Asian store owners, with the Korean store owners, there was a long history of Korean store owners discriminating against black people, and even in the United States, going into Asian-owned hair supply stores, going into Asian-owned gas stations, or even stores being followed around the store, thinking that we're going to steal and thinking that we're going to touch stuff and mess stuff up because we're black. And then even the murder of Latasha Harlings, who was the black girl who was 15 years old, who was in a store in California, and she picked up, a carton of juice, was about to buy it, and the lady thought that she was going to steal and whatnot. And Latasha got scared and ran from the counter, and the lady shot her in the back of the head. And when they found Latasha's body laying there, she had the money in her hands to pay for the juice. And the lady didn't even get convicted of that much time, and they pretty much let her off. So every non-black culture is known in this country for being discriminatory against black people. It's in the history books, it's in documentaries, it's on the internet, it's everywhere. So why are black people so in denial of what's happened to us by non-black people? Now, I'm not saying that we should hate non-black people. That's not what I'm saying, but I think that as black people, we need to stand up for each other, but we need to represent ourselves in a better light, and we need to stop dumbing ourselves down and watering ourselves down just to be accepted by non-black people. But when you have non-black people, including white people, Hispanic people, and Asian people, that will come here and they will either say straight up, don't sugarcoat it or nothing, that they're better than black people. When it comes to jobs, they compete with us for jobs. When it comes to school, they hold it over our heads, how they take care of their families, how they're so educated, how they make more money than us, how they don't waste time when they come over here, how they get jobs, how they get cars, how they get all these houses and living arrangements and stuff for their families. And us being over here so long, we're lazy, we're stupid, we're dumb, we don't work, we don't take care of our families. We don't take care of our kids, pretty much thinking that they're better than us all the time. And then they want us to give them a pass for coming into our culture, saying nigga, listening to hip hop music, getting braids, getting long, extensive nails, using ghetto slang, using black slang, and even thinking that because they watch a whole bunch of thug movies or black movies from the 90s, listening to a whole bunch of hip hop, rocking braids and cornrows, and by them having a black girlfriend or a black boyfriend or black kids or black, black people in their family, that makes them black, and we're supposed to give them a pass to enter into our culture and disrespect our culture and take from our culture because they're from a higher elevated race. And when we speak their language to them, oh, they're interrupting us. Now they want to speak in English. And then they're cutting us off when we speak in their language because we're too smart to know their culture. And then when we go in their stores or come in their neighborhoods or even come into their countries, they act like they don't want us there. But they want us to give them permission to come into our culture and to hurt us and disrespect us and take us down and to take our culture from us like they did when we were slaves and not even want us to say anything. So yeah, that's my point about it. And I do blame black Americans for that because we allow it. Ever since we were slaves, we have developed this mindset that was taught to us from European slave owners. And the reason why I say European instead of white, because in the Caribbean they did it to us there too. making us think that whiter is better, that being light skinned is better, that letting a lighter skinned person take advantage of you for you to get ahead, for you to stay in the house and not have to do other work as hard as the other ones, in the field did, that did sleep with the slave owners, that didn't have babies with the slave owners, and constantly beating it into our heads that as long as we go along to get along and turn against our own, that somehow makes us better than the next black person. And even to this day, we still carry that thought with us. So in closing, and I feel like I've said everything that I needed to say in this video, but in closing, that's how I feel about the situation. As black people and as black Americans, we don't do a good job of representing each other. And then on top of that, even within our own community, we purposely hurt each other. We still have this church like mentality where we always want to use elders and the Bible to beat younger black people over the head, thinking that they don't know anything because they're not as smart or not as old or not as eligible or prestige or whatnot. And then we have toxic parenting, which is very bad within the African American community. And then there's just so much just strife and fight. And I know I'm finna have a whole bunch of black people coming me over this video. You don't speak for the African American community. You don't speak for all of us. You can't talk for all of us. But at the same time, what are you doing? You're coming against me, and I come from the same race that you come from. But then you want to turn around and talk about racism and all this other stuff. And here I am talking about it, but you're coming against me because I'm speaking about how you, as a black person, won't even speak up for yourself or for your own people. And then these same black people will stand behind Latino rights, Asian rights, Native American rights, LGBTQ rights, and I'm not even finna get into the LGBTQ stuff, but you won't even stand up for your own people. And then you wonder why in the United States government, why there's so many laws protecting Latinos, so many laws protecting Asians, and so many laws protecting the LGBT community. But black people is because these same black people that claim to be proud to be black. We're black. We need people helping us out and doing stuff. You won't help your own out and fight for your own, but you fight for other people, let alone other people that wouldn't even fight for you if somebody paid them to. So, in closing, that's pretty much all I have to say about Kamala Harris, and that's pretty much all I have to say about Senator Tim Scott, because I'm really not surprised, and I'm just really not, not even shocked that much about what was said, because I purposely feel like in the United States, it's never going to get better for black people because of the mentality that we have, because of how divisive we are, and because of how we always want to sit and let everybody just step on us and walk all over us and whatnot in order to be accepted. So the way I see it, if the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris doesn't bring us the freedom that we feel like we should get or that we deserve, because we have Kamala Harris, who's black, but she's really not, fighting for us when in this moment she's really not. And then when you even go to Obama, Obama didn't even fight for black people. And plus, when Obama was in office during his administration, that's when cases like Tamir Rice and Trayvon Martin even happened. And so I just feel like the United States, it wasn't really made for African Americans or Black Americans, but at the same time, I feel like the United States is never going to be a country for us, because every time you turn around, we're always discriminated against, we're always killed, we're always bullied. And when it comes to people from our own community that need to speak up for us and fight for us, they won't do it, and they rather defend non-black people than defending their own people. So I hope you all like this video. Don't forget to comment and tell me what you guys think, and subscribe to my channel. Have a good day.